Let's talk about Dragon Quest. Yes, the Dragon Quest 12. This is something that we've all been waiting on for a very long time. What is going on with Dragon Quest 12? Where is this game? Well, I think I have a little bit more of an idea what Square Enix could be planning because of some recent stuff that's happened. And I also want to give us just a little bit of an update of what we can expect with this game, because this might be the year, based off of different things that are happening, that we finally get the breakdown of where this game is. We get the first look at it, platforms, release window, all of that could be happening pretty soon here. I know some of you guys have kind of lost hope for this, but I do think it's going to be happening based on what we're going to be talking about today. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Let's start off with Dragon Quest 11S, recently rated on the Nintendo Switch 2. This is something from the Taiwan ratings board. I covered it just a bit, so I won't spend too much time on it here, but the gist of this is that the ratings board, they put out these ratings from the company. So Square Enix, somebody from there went to the ratings board, said, we've got a version of Dragon Quest 11S Definitive Edition on the Nintendo Switch 2, which they've already rated it and it's already came out on all the other platforms. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch 1, 3DS. Well, the original version was on 3DS. They're not going to bring the definitive edition, but you guys know what I mean. All that's already done. So this rating was specifically put by somebody at Square Enix, and most of the time when you see a ratings board leak or a ratings board listing, somebody just finds it, most of the time, like 99% of the time, the game comes out at some point. It is a real game because somebody from the company did put in that rating. So the fact that we've got an official rating for Dragon Quest 11S on the Nintendo Switch 2 shows that there is going to be some motion there. There's going to be an announcement. Something is happening with that game. And I think that the Switch 2 could use something like Dragon Quest 11S, considering if you play the game via backwards compatible, yes, the boost mode definitely helps out in portable mode, getting a much better, cleaner profile, because the game's running at a pretty low resolution in portable mode on the Nintendo Switch 1. It looks kind of fuzzy. It's going to look a lot better if you play that boost mode portable on the Nintendo Switch 2, but it's still 30 frames per second. It still doesn't have the faster loading, still needs better resolution when docked. There's a number of things that the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game have the advantage on, but with the Switch 2, you can bump it up and make it look and play a lot better, and you also have pretty much another audience that might want to say, okay, I'll check it out now. I didn't play it on the Switch 1, I'll pick it up now on the Nintendo Switch 2. Plus, it's an incredible game that people really like, and it still sells regularly across all the platforms, especially on Nintendo Switch 1. People still buy the game. So I do think that having a Switch 2 version would definitely be something that shows that they're going back into the well when it comes to Dragon Quest and making sure that they have everything set up and ready to go before the next game is coming out. Now, let's talk about the Dragon Quest 40th anniversary, because you can't talk about Dragon Quest 12 without intertwining this. This is a special year. The official date for the first Dragon Quest game, which was called Dragon Warrior in Japan, was May 27th, 1986. Yes, it's been a big 40 years since then. Imagine all the stuff, or look at the graphics, look at everything that's changed since 1986. The original creator is still involved with it, and with that anniversary, the 40th anniversary coming up, there's definitely going to be something, and it seems like Square Enix is planning some type of announcement around May 27th, even if that's just going to be a post right now or a tease of an event or something. I do think some type of announcement or something will be happening based on May 27th, based off of just what Square Enix has already said. It's the 40th anniversary. They need to celebrate this. Dragon Quest is rocking now at this point. It's still popular. People still buy it. It's still relevant. It's still something big, and that is something to celebrate. It's not often that you see a brand or you see a game series or something still be popular 40 years later. Gaming is not a super old medium compared to other mediums, but it's really hard for a IP to be relevant for multiple generations. A lot of times they fall off at some point, you don't see games, but Dragon Quest has been a mainstay for 40 years, and that's something that I think that Square Enix is absolutely going to celebrate. May 27th, expect something around that time period, so I think that something could potentially even coincide with what Nintendo's been planning that I know for a while now, and that is a Nintendo Direct. Yes, the Nintendo Direct that people have been waiting for. We haven't had a Nintendo Direct since last year, September, so it's been multiple months now at this point. And the thing about it is that in the past, Square Enix and Nintendo have worked together to reveal the big Dragon Quest games, or the first footage of a Dragon Quest game. This is dated all the way back to the Nintendo DS days. Yes, Dragon Quest 9, that was first for the Nintendo DS, revealed with Nintendo and everything for that system. And then you even have Dragon Quest 10, which is an MMO online RPG thing that was revealed for the Nintendo Wii. So that's something that they've been doing for a long time. And even Dragon Quest 11, despite it launching first on 3DS and the PlayStation 4, it was first revealed for the Nintendo NX, back for the code name for the Nintendo Switch 1. So I think it's something that with Dragon Quest 12, yes, it's already been announced, but there was no platforms, there was no footage, there was no anything else but a really cool cinematic trailer that showed nothing really. I think that at the next Nintendo Direct, they should actually reveal the game. I think this game is going to be heavily tied to what Nintendo's doing and the Nintendo Switch 2, because if you look at the shifting demographics and what's happened in Japan with the Nintendo Switch 2 and even with the Nintendo Switch 1, you're looking at things, it almost seems like it would be a DOA type of thing. Not completely, but it would be a huge mistake to not launch on the Nintendo Switch 2 at the bare minimum. Now, there could be a Nintendo Switch 1 version of this game. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on what they're trying to do graphically for it. I'm guessing there won't be a Switch 1 version of this game, and it's just going to be Switch 2, Xbox, PlayStation, PC. But I do think that they're very aware of what's happening in Japan, and of course, Dragon Quest is uber popular in Japan, so they're going to have that Nintendo Switch 2 version ready to go. And of course, a great place to reveal it would be at the hype and what Nintendo does at the Direct. So I would not be surprised if this game was revealed at a Nintendo Direct this year, coming up pretty soon here. Now, could it make it all the way to maybe the September Nintendo Direct or fall one? Maybe. Or maybe there's an announcement before then they have a trailer. But you also have to remember, the first footage, the first information that we got about Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, also revealed at a Nintendo Direct. So they've been doing this for quite some time. Dragon Quest VII, like I said, multiple different games in the Dragon Quest series have been revealed at Nintendo Directs or been announced with Nintendo projects, Nintendo systems. So it's just one of those things to where I do feel that Dragon Quest 12 will also follow in those footsteps there. So let's talk about this, because I think Square Enix has been waiting for the right time also to announce this. If you're getting close to when you're saying, okay, when can we show this game? What are we going to do? But you have a bunch of other stuff that you're doing kind of in front of it. You can wait. You can wait for the Switch 2 to get a bit more mature. You can wait for the 40th anniversary. You can kind of wait for the Switch 2 to get more users and just it to kind of get out of that first initial launch period and then say, okay, here's the game, closer to when you're going to be able to actually announce a release window, because it's already been so many years at this point. I don't think there's any reason to show it and just say, oh, well, we're still working on it. Okay, here you go. We're still working on it. That'd be great. That'd be cool if like we see some footage, but I really want to know at this point when it's going to come out. So I think the next time that we see it, have a release window ready to go. And of course, have the Nintendo Switch 2 be far more popular and Square Enix can work with them in that type of way. So I think it all makes sense that they waited just a bit here, and maybe we see it with Nintendo Direct. Maybe we see it at some point at the end of the year. Maybe we see it kind of how Square Enix is plotting this with the 40th anniversary. Now, I do think that the game probably went through some changes based off of Square Enix leadership. There was a big upheaval at Square Enix after the situation with Final Fantasy and the exclusivity did not work out in their favor. Square Enix had a completely new business plan, changed CEOs. They did a lot of things to change up their business directives and what they do. And one of the things that I know was very important for them was the multi-platform strategy, but was also to enhance the effectiveness and leverage what they're doing with their games. Square Enix leadership, they're not just going to sit there and say, okay, we have Dragon Quest, so it's going to sell well. No, you need to make sure that you let people know that we have this brand that's great, that's going to do well, and you really take advantage and enhance that. You really take advantage and do what you can to make sure that people realize, okay, these are the unique aspects about this game and why you want to play it. And I think Square Enix, got a little bit lax when it comes to that with the Final Fantasy situation, where they just said, oh, well, everybody knows Final Fantasy. If we remake a million Final Fantasy games, or if we remake Final Fantasy VII, it doesn't matter if it's only on one platform, or it doesn't matter if it's completely different than what we've done before. It doesn't matter. People will buy it because it's Final Fantasy. And while that worked with Final Fantasy VII Remake, at least at first, that did not work with Rebirth. That did not work with Final Fantasy 16. You can't just change a bunch of things and then people say, well, I don't like this. You say, oh, well, buy it anyway. They probably won't buy it. There's too much competition. There's too many other things in the market. There's too many other RPGs. There's just too much other stuff to distract us from that. So I think Square Enix, when it comes to their leadership and making sure that Dragon Quest doubles down on being Dragon Quest, there was some talk, not anything official, but there was some talk that they were going to change up a bunch of stuff with Dragon Quest 12, that it maybe could be an action RPG and do a bunch of stuff like that. So I think that potentially, maybe they were doing some kind of crazy stuff with this game, like Final Fantasy 16, and they realized, oh, that's going to be really bad, and we need to completely change that. Otherwise, we're going to get grilled alive. So that's a possibility. Not saying that it happened. I'm just saying that Square Enix's new leadership wants to double down on making sure that when you play something from this franchise, sure, you can have new ideas, you can have different things, but don't change what the core of what it makes to be this type of game. And that's why you've seen Square Enix double down over and over and over on what works for them. And those games that come out, whether it's the Dragon Quest remakes or other stuff that we're going to talk about, they're traditional in the sense of, hey, we know that people like this type of gameplay within what we're doing. So I think we're going to see that with Dragon Quest 12. Now, another thing that we have to talk about here, and I think it's probably one of the biggest things why it's been a while since this. So with all the Dragon Quest remakes that Square Enix has already loaded up and people are playing those, and with them wanting to make sure that they perfect what they're doing with Dragon Quest 12, I think that that is a winning combination to some of the expectations, or maybe what some people are thinking that Dragon Quest needs to be because of the massive success of Expedition 33. Now, there's always some other thing, and I will just say this, not saying that they're going to, but could Expedition 33 actually affect some of the stuff in the game? Could they add in some parry and some other things that Expedition does in their own way? I do think that it's possible, considering the popularity and the fact that Square Enix did want to talk to them. They talked to the people over at Sandfall Interactive, and I think that there's some good ideas in the game that could be universally put into lots of games. Now, should it be exactly like what they're doing? No. But obviously, that concept came well before Expedition 33. Mario and Luigi did it, Legend of Dragoon. There's been many other games when it comes to what that game does. So I do think it's going to be fun to see exactly what their version of a modern Dragon Quest game, because the last one that we got when it comes to a new big Dragon Quest game was 2017. That's going on about a decade ago, 9 years at this point. So I'm guessing that they're going to have a lot of new ideas and different things. We just don't know how they're going to go about it. So I'm excited to see exactly everything, because most Dragon Quest games are pretty traditional. Although Dragon Quest 11 did have a bunch of cool new ideas and different things, and also it brought back ideas from previous games, but I'm guessing they're going to go in a little bit of a different direction while still keeping that soul and flavor of what makes Dragon Quest great and doubling down on the Dragon Quest experience, but of course with new graphics and with new characters and with a bunch of things that are different but also feel familiar. So this could be one of the bigger releases that we see. It's exciting to see Square Enix kind of finally get ready to reveal this game. I think that Dragon Quest XII is going to be a bit of a spectacle overall with the gameplay and what they do, and I think that the time that they've actually taken at this point is going to raise expectations, but I feel that it's going to meet those. I know Dragon Quest XI had a ton of people anticipating it and looking forward to it. It was the first big new Dragon Quest game, HD platforms outside of Dragon Quest X, which is once again MMO online, Wii U, all of that, PlayStation 4, so that's a different type of game. But Dragon Quest XI had a lot of expectations as well, and it actually met every single bit of that. I think that Dragon Quest XII can do the same exact thing, and a lot of people don't know. Dragon Quest XI, I think, sold 9 million plus. I know it's going more trending towards 10 million if you count up everything that it's done so far. So I think that Dragon Quest XII is going to be off on a good foot with people looking forward and anticipating the game. Now we'll see ultimately how much or how well it does, but I just have a feeling that Dragon Quest XII is going to be an awesome release with a lot of anticipation and excitement behind it and people looking forward to playing it. I don't know if it's going to review as well as Dragon Quest XI did. It's hard to get a 90 plus these days when it comes to Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition at least, but I do think that it's going to be a highly rated game. People are going to be excited to play it. So what do you guys think when it comes to Dragon Quest XII and some of the reasons why I think that we're going to be getting a reveal soon? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this one here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.